How often do you think about the Roman Empire? Oh, wait a minute, is it in fact a Romanov Empire? Stop. Well, this of course sounds like nonsense. Both have lasted for centuries, fueled tons of speculations and mysteries, and both witnessed a dramatic fail. So I thought for a moment perhaps the illustrious family name, the Romanovs, has something to do with their almost eponymous imperial predecessor. In this video, I uncover the legendary origins of the name of the Romanov Dynasty that ruled Russia for over 300 years from 1630 to 1917. And here we are at the beginning of the 17th century. Russia is not an empire yet and is actually a pretty failed state at the moment. The former ruling dynasty of Rurikids has gone with the wind. They simply failed to produce a legitimate heir at some point. And the country plunged into a series of social conflicts, severe political crises of legitimacy, basically almost an anarchy, serious famine, and all the bouquet of dramatic events which gave this epoch its name as the Time of Troubles, or Smuta in Russian. Well, after 15 years of this never-ending turmoil, everyone came to a conclusion that enough is enough, and hey guys, let's better choose the new pope for the best. Amazingly, they called out the most prominent families at the epoch and invited them each to propose a suitable candidate for this role. It's curious that there wasn't much of a debate. Perhaps everyone got really tired after the years of Smuta, so the proposed candidature of Michael Romanov was chosen almost unanimously and eagerly supported both by Moscow citizens and the boyars. Why so? Well, turned out he had that secret ingredient which lay in his family name, Romanov. Actually, he was the distant relative of the first and beloved wife of the famous Ivan the Terrible. He had 6 more of them, by the way. Anastasia Romanov. He was her great-nephew and this way was connected with the former dynasty by some vague blood ties. At least something. Interestingly, that Anastasia wasn't in fact a proper Romanov by surname. She was a daughter of some Roman Zakharin Yuriev, a sort of a nobleman or boyar who was at faithful service at the court at that very Ivan the Terrible. And yes, Roman is just a rather ordinary Russian name for a man, so it didn't mean that he actually came from that Rome which is now the capital of Italy. So that Anastasia was technically not Romanov, but Romanovna. The second paternal names in the Russian language are derived from the names of the person's father. Say, Anastasia's father was Roman, so she is Anastasia Romanovna, or Ksenia's father is Ivan, so she is Ksenia Ivanovna. The same goes for sons, so Nikolai Alexandrovich means that this Nicholas is the son of Alexander. Anyways, one of the legends says that the surname Romanov was simply coming from that very boyar Roman at the service of Ivan the Terrible, whose daughter became the first Tsarina of Russia. Back in the day, the concept of a surname wasn't so set in stone, and it was fairly common to play with your last name, changing it after the name of your father or a nickname. So this Romanovna turned into Romanova or Romanov. Shouldn't be a red flag in this theory. However, there is another semi-conspirator version, which was popular among German researchers, but never received any support among serious Russian historians. Well, according to foreign records, the founder of the Romanov Dynasty was some Glanda Kambila Divonovich, who was a brother of some old Prussian prince, and that he moved from Prussian lands to Russia at the end of 13th century and called himself Ivan. And based on this legend, some German historians believe that that was why the Romanovs were so traditionally well connected and attached to foreign royal families. Well, this sounds like a huge stretch and mere speculation, but there is actually a reason why such theories arise from time to time on the historical ground. You see, while most of the countries continuously developed throughout the centuries, let's say the political systems evolved gradually without huge shocks or revolutions, well, Russia, or the vast territory which changed its name multiple times throughout centuries, witnessed an almost unprecedented period of total erasing of the past in the recent world history. I'm now speaking about the 70 years of Soviet Union, where the state ideology was all about pretending there was no royal past, no nobility, no imperial family, like nothing that ever happened, and there were always tovarishes and proletarians. This led to dramatic consequences concerning the proper maintenance and research of the archival materials. Tons of hugely important documents concerning the Tsar period of Russia, like all the previous centuries of the country's existence, were lost without a trace. Historians were practically forbidden to study the imperial epoch, and this fertilized the soil for numerous speculations, one more absurd than another. When the Soviet period ended and they opened up the archives, the scholars bumped into the unfortunate gaps in the historical documents and lack of proven evidence of this or that event. And moreover, I think of it, we are now talking about events that happened 400, 500 years ago. No wonder we don't know for sure what really happened among the first rulers and boyars of the so-called Kievan Rus and beyond. So the version that the Romanov dynasty family name comes from that very Roman, the father of Anastasia, the first wife of Ivan the Terrible, is now considered canonical and official. So no relation to the Roman Empire, which ultimately collapsed in the 15th century whatsoever. But wait, perhaps there is some tiny connection. Remember, I said that Anastasia Romanov was the first Tsarina of Russia. Indeed, it was her husband, Ivan the Terrible, who first proclaimed himself a Tsar, a peculiar Russian word which is actually derived from the Roman Caesar. In addition, the first capital of the Romanovs, Russia, was Moscow, though Peter the Great soon transferred it to the newly built St. Petersburg. And Moscow was often commonly called the Third Rome at the epoch. Have you ever heard of that theory? Like, there were three Romes. The first one was the Roman Rome, the eternal city in Italy. Rome was historically a capital of a great Mediterranean empire, and as Roman power grew, the city's name became synonymous with the center of imperial government and Christian authority. But when Emperor Constantine transferred the imperial capital to Byzantium and renamed the city after himself, Constantinople, It became a new or second Eastern Rome. For many centuries, Constantinople was both the capital of a Byzantine Empire and the center of Orthodox Christianity. However, it was finally conquered by the Ottoman Turks in 1453, and the Russians, who had accepted Christianity from the Byzantine Greeks, then claimed that Moscow had become the Third Rome. Neat, right? I welcome you to subscribe if you find it curious, and I see you in my future videos. Take care until then, and bye!